Cane toads are one of the most infamous and infuriating invasive species in the world. Not because they're ugly, which I do think they are, but because they're extremely toxic and wreak havoc on local ecosystems pretty much wherever they've been introduced. They produce a milky toxin in their skin and in glands behind their eyes that can kill a medium-sized dog in 15 minutes. So they endanger really a lot of animals, like this super cute carnivorous marsupial called the northern quoll here. Cane toads were introduced to Australia in 1935, and northern quolls have always been eating small animals like snakes, lizards, and toads. But before then, there weren't any poisonous toads at all down under. So quolls never evolved a resistance to the toxin, nor an aversion to eating toads. So since the introduction of the cane toad, northern quoll populations have dropped about 70%. And they've become locally extinct in some parts of their range, which is now spotty and disjointed. So without some super scientific intervention, they could be fully extinct within the next 10 years. Luckily, that cool biosciences company called Quolls is working on it. Now, cane toads are originally from Middle and South America. But in 1932, a Puerto Rican entomologist named Raquel Dexter, no relation, published a paper in Science that showed that cane toads eat cane beetle grubs. Cane beetles and their grubs like to munch on and devour sugarcane crops. And sugarcane is one of Australia's top exports in domestic primary products. So in 1935, 102 cane toads were imported to Queensland, where they started a captive breeding program. And by 1937, they had released over 62,000 soon-to-be toxic toadlets around the state. And now it's estimated that there are some 200 million of them. Meanwhile, there are only around 100,000 northern quolls left. So that means that there are about 2,000 death traps hopping around for each remaining northern quoll left in Australia. Australia has tried to control cane toad populations in a multitude of ways so far, but ultimately they've been unsuccessful. So what Quolls is working on is editing the genome of the northern quoll so that it's immune or resistant to cane toad toxin. They've already been working with stem cells of the closely related marsupial, the fat-tailed dunnart, as part of their mission to bring back the thylacine. So as a proof of concept, they made a couple changes to the dunnart cell. One of them is the introduction of DNA from a toxin-resistant South American lizard. And with these changes made, the marsupial cells can withstand and survive up to 100 times more toad toxin than before the edits were made. It's super cool and promising. If we can introduce these genes into wild populations of northern quolls, we can likely prevent their extinction. And if we make them immune, those 200 million slow-moving death traps become 200 million slow-moving snacks. And turning them into a non-fatal food will likely help control cane toad populations and help restore balance to Australia's ecosystem.